It's hundreds of billions of dollars that jackass is going to make sure Iran gets to acquire. It's now worth $6 billion. He has made more money in the past year and a half than he has in his entire life. Guys, real quick, do me a favor. You don't have to do anything in terms of spending any more extra money. Just do your normal shopping using the link below in the description on Amazon. Buying things that you want and need every single day. Use your money for things that you need while at the same exact time supporting the channel. And this is the MAGA man for you, okay? Now, this is, to me, this is hysterical. That's why I love covering this. It shows the MAGA man as the cuck that he is, right? And also, you know, not for nothing, but it also shows the MAGA man and their secrets, right? And we see this all the time. What I'm about to show you is not the first time that you've seen this. It might be the first time that you see this particular image, but what you're going to see has been happening over and over and over again because the MAGA man is an actual, maybe he's a closeted gay guy, right? That's mostly what it is because we already know what happens on Tinder. But look at this. This is liberals and the fake news is trying to cancel Nick for exposing fraud. Drop a heart if you support Nick. I tagged him so he will absolutely see it. And who is this that they have there? They have this Nick, what's this guy's name again? Nick something. But he's the guy that goes out there and pretends that he's doing stories exposing fraud, except he's not exposing any. Nick Shirley is his name. That's what I just remembered it. Nick Shirley. This guy's name is Nick Shirley. Now, Nick Shirley is a scrawny, skinny little piece of shit. That's what he is, right? But how do the MAGA men see him, though? This is how they portray him. A nice, big, built, muscular man that they portray Nick Shirley because they're MAGA men, the cucks that they are. They have a little crush now, don't they? Making Nick Shirley look like he's Superman. I mean, you can't make this up. That's the MAGA men for you, right? That's what they do. They can't help themselves, right? This is Donald Trump lying about the money sent over to Iran. Listen.
They put it on a beautiful 757 Boeing. They took all the seats out and they stuffed it with green cash from Virginia, Maryland, and D.C. The banks had no money left. They literally took and they delivered it to Iran. And they took out satchels and sacks of money. In addition to that, they paid tens of billions of dollars. And you know, they got a lot of nuclear research.
Now, just so that everybody understands, literally nothing that he just said is true. Now, how do we know that? All you need to do if you wanted to, you know, really pinpoint this and make sure, just watch to see if his lips are moving. That's the only thing you need to do to know that it's not true. If his lips are moving, then he's lying, right? None of that happened. They didn't take seats out of a plane, pack it filled with cash. All the surrounding banks were out of cash. None of that happened. None of that happened. There was assets that belonged to Iran that when they came to the agreement, Iran was given back their assets that were seized by the United States. That's what happened. And most of it was not in cash. It was $1.7 billion, right? Now, he also said that they also sent tens of billions of dollars. We know the amount. It was $1.7 billion in assets that the United States had frozen that belonged to Iran already. Guess who is, though, sending them not just tens of billions of dollars, but hundreds of billions of dollars? Who's doing that? Bobo himself. That's right. This jackass right here. He's the guy sending them more than $300 billion from our country and mainly from countries around Iran that are all going to contribute in once this is all said and done, because believe me when I tell you, they will get what they want, because we've got the weakest president we've ever had, the dumbest one that we've ever seen. There's nothing that can compare to his stupidity, but that's who's actually doing it. And it's not even tens, bro. He said that they were sending tens of billions. There was no such thing. We've never sent Iran tens of billions of dollars, ever. But there is one jackass, one president who is the dumbest one of them all that is actually going to do that. And it's not even tens. It's hundreds of billions of dollars that jackass is going to make sure Iran gets to acquire. Thank you, Bobo, for the complete and utter stupidity that you continue to perpetrate onto the world. You cannot make this up, ladies and gentlemen. This is Donald Trump. Like I say, he doesn't give a flying fuck about anybody except for himself. But this is Joe Kernan asking him about the crypto, because he's like, I know what MAGA loves to do. They love to talk about how Donald Trump gave up his salary. Isn't that just adorable? Don't you guys love when they do that? You got to love when they do that, right? Like they say,
well, he did go ahead and he donates his salary to, and he doesn't take a salary, he donates it. Send.
Do you guys know what $400,000 or 400 million is? So just so you can understand, $400,000 is how much the United States president gets paid. 400 million, which is the amount that the Qatari jet Donald Trump got illegally, is 1,000 times more. 1,000 times more for that jet than what he gets paid as the president, that you MAGA dummies say he is donating. And that's just the jet. That's not including everything else that he's made money off the backs of his people, the insider trading. I mean, everything. There's so many different things. This guy's made more money. He started with $2 billion. Now he's worth $6 billion. He's now worth $6 billion. He has made more money in the past year and a half than he has in his entire life. But you say he donates his pay. You can't make up the stupidity of these people. Let's listen to him talking about it here.
But making money in the stock market, that makes sense. So as far as crypto goes.
By the way, you heard Joe Kernan, who's a MAGA idiot. He doesn't get on Donald Trump's case about anything whatsoever. This is a softball interview, but listen to what he says at the very top.
But making money in the stock market, that makes sense.
Making money in the stock market, that makes sense. That's how he starts the question. So insider trading is totally fine. He's not going to ask him about that. Joe is not going to say, yeah, you made a lot of money in the stock market, but can you explain to us why it is that you were buying companies, then talking about them during press conferences and putting out tweets after you bought them and then cashing out when they went up and you made hundreds of millions of dollars? Why did you do that, Mr. President? That's not allowed. No, he doesn't do that. He says making money in the stock market, that makes sense. That's how he starts it off. Right?
As far as crypto goes, and I'm just wondering, you didn't divest your business, you have your sons running it. I think vice presidents and presidents aren't subject really to conflict of interest laws, but there's this notion that you need to be aware of conflict of interest.
Look at the hunchback of Trump, though. Like, does anybody ever notice that when you see him talking and speaking, standing, sitting? He's got this massive hump on the back of his back, bro. It's crazy. He looks like a freaking monster, bro.
There was a large sum of money made in crypto. Did you know that your family business was going to engage in crypto? Did you have anything?
Now, again, you see how Joe is framing the question? Very friendly. You know what I mean? Like, did you know that was going to happen? Yes, he did know. You want to know how I know that? MAGA dummies, I'm not talking to you because you guys are the dumbest people on the planet and you refuse facts, right? Donald Trump announced it days before his inauguration and promoted people buying the token, his Trump coin. Yeah, that's what he did. But Joe doesn't say that now, does he? No, Joe says, did you know about that? And it's already out there. His tweet telling everybody about it. So Joe knows that he does know about this, but he doesn't ask him now, does he? This is the way it is on these networks. They do not give a f- and Donald Trump doesn't give a fuck about you. Watch.
Or I was there before I was in office. But the way I view crypto is a little differently. We have to be at the top, otherwise China's going to take it over.
Now, we have to be in the top, otherwise China's going to take it over, is not at all a part of what this answer is. Why are we talking about this? That's not what he asked you about. He didn't ask you about our standing in the world with crypto. He asked you about the money that you're making.
Like, for instance, AI, we're leading substantially in AI.
We're not. Like, China is rapidly gaining on us in every aspect. He says that we're ahead by far. China is rapidly gaining on us. And I'll give you an example just so that everybody knows. By the way, the guns are looking pretty good, right? Don't you think? That's one of the biggest arms in the world right there. China last year posted a $1 trillion surplus. If you do the math, they're $41 trillion ahead of us. 41 trillion ahead of us. Now, we still technically, quote unquote, have the biggest economy in the world. And we do. If we didn't owe any money, we would by far and away be the number one. Not far and away because China's gaining on us, but if we didn't have the dingbat in the office, we probably would still be leading significantly over China. But now they're gaining on us very rapidly. We're 40 trillion in debt, thanks to Donald Trump adding most of it, adding another 2 or 3 trillion to it in this past presidency that we're in right now, and adding 8.3 trillion. He's responsible for some 35 to 40% of our entire debt by himself. Him and his presidencies. That's what China is gaining on us very rapidly. There's another super chat from Eric Stewart. Thank you so much, Eric Stewart. I appreciate you. But let's continue with his answer, which has nothing to do with the question, by the way.
With China and everybody else. I mean, we're leading. When I was with President Xi 3 weeks ago, he greeted me and his first words, I mean, literally were, wow, you've really done a great job.
Now, that's another thing. He loves to tout this thing where he says the first thing that President Xi said when he saw him was,
Wow, you guys you're doing such a great job. Wow.
I can on my own life, I can promise you that that did not happen whatsoever. How do I know that? Factually, like, how do I know that? It's very easy. I'm going to show you.
Differently, we have to be at the top, otherwise China's going to take it over.
Now, you see his lips moving? That's how I know. Okay? His lips moving means that he's lying. Now, let me ask you something. Does anybody at all, with a brain in your head, not the MAGA dummies, does anybody at all think that Xi Jinping said to Donald Trump, wow, you're doing a great job? There's only one ass kisser of the duo. Donald Trump did nothing but kiss Xi Jinping's ass, talk about what a great leader and how smart he is, the whole 9 yards. The whole time that he was out there and then came back, that's all he did was kiss Xi Jinping's ass. We heard zero reports from any of ours or even China's media that they said that about Donald Trump or anything positive about Donald Trump. Now, I will say this, though, in all fairness, okay? I will say this in all fairness. Xi Jinping does love him some Donald Trump now, doesn't he? Because, I told you guys in February, Donald Trump decided to go to war with the entire world using tariffs. Now, I told you guys in February when he decided to undress Volodymyr Zelensky with JD Vance, I said to you, I turned on, I was live, and I said, we just lost the entire world. You can mark my words when I tell you, China is going to be, they're going to benefit more than they could have possibly imagined during this president. That happened in February of his second term in 2025. That happened in February, only a month in, not even a month in. And I was like, it's over. It's done. China is going to get everybody. And guess what has happened? China has gotten everybody. Every single one of our allies now who did not before. In fact, there's a really big one. Never before did the same type of trading that we did with them. They've turned to China. All of them, Europe included. And guess who's a big one? The biggest country in the world. The biggest. India. India and China were such enemies that they didn't even allow flights into each other's countries from each other. They didn't even allow planes from each other's country to bring people. Nobody from China can come to India, India to China. They did not. They hated each other until one dummy was able to unite them. And now India and China trade with each other and they're friends. That's because of Donald Trump. So now we have the second largest country, China, that is now trading with the largest country and every one of our ex-partners in Europe. That's because of Donald Trump. You cannot make this up.